We will call the meeting of the August 15th Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust of the minutes of the meeting of August 1st, 2017. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll vote on that. It's approved unanimously. Next is the consent docket.
Move approval subject to individual consideration.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any individual considerations? Seeing none, we'll vote. It's approved unanimously. Item 4 is the concurrence docket. We have no items listed under item number 4. So we'll move to item number 5, items for individual consideration. The first item is the North Stanley Draper Road rehabilitation. We have a presentation. Chris, did you want to give us any introduction to this?
Yes, sir. We have Larry Hare here from our engineering department who is going to give us a presentation on the new Lake Road.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start off exactly with a timeline on where we began all of these road projects and how it affected the lake water quality. So in 2002, we had a whole bunch of user groups out here on the north side of the lake that would go out and do whatever they wanted to, pretty much. They would cut in trails here, like on Point 8, and they would make little roads everywhere they wanted to in order to more easily access the lake for themselves, which would set it up for a bunch of erosion and turbidity runoff into the lake, as you can see by these, pale pink areas in these coves right here. And to give you an understanding of what I'm talking about, like for instance at Point 8, you can see that after a rain, it looks really red in this area because of the erosion and runoff. And after events like this, these roads and places would be graded to set them back up to be for the next rain event in order to go back into the lake. So, and Point 12 is also interesting because it's not level with the lake. This is actually like a 40 or 50 foot cliff overhang right here that people would try to test their mettle in scaling this with their motorized vehicles. So in 2003, we started building new access roads, especially along Point 8, 11, and 12 here on the north side of the lake. And we also, at the same time, sealed off access to all of these extraneous roads and trails that everybody wanted to build in. In fact, one of the user groups, the motorized bike group, got relocated from here to the West Elm Creek area. At the same time, the county came in and converted this dirt road right here into more of a chip and seal road. And they also kind of like straighten this area out because it was kind of like a hairy hairpin turn right here. In 2006, we continued our efforts in building new roads right here on Point 13, and we sealed off access to this area right here. And after a few short years, you can see that, you can see the clarity of the lake has actually improved in some of these areas, and a lot of these areas that we left to grow back to nature has begun to heal, and so the lake quality has begun to improve quite a bit. In 2010, we saw the beginning of the drought. So this is not turbidity going into the lake. This is actually the lake bottom as we're seeing the beginning of the drought. And in this time, the Parks Department built a new roadway with lovely park facilities here with a playground, a boat ramp, and a couple of volleyball nets. And they also sealed off access to Point 9 and 10 by not allowing people or closing off the roads and the trails here and in this location. 2015 saw the great inundation and the drought breaker, which filled up all of our lakes. And during that year, we came in and actually rebuilt this portion of the road between Midwest Boulevard and Douglas Boulevard so that we changed it to an asphalt road with striping, and we also improved some of the drainage areas associated with this. In 2016, this past year, we also completed phase 2 of this North Road project, North Stanley Draper Drive, by resurfacing this area as well. And we were getting rid of some dangerous hairpin curves where people couldn't see around the curves when they were traveling in excess of the speed limits in this area. We also included a little turnout point right here. This is a close-up of some of the improvements that we were contemplating, which was straightening this area out in order to provide more sight distance for people traveling, as well as a separate drive to point 11. Here's that little turnout I talked about. And we also cleared a little area here at the Post Road intersection to allow people to see around that forested section and to get onto the Post Road in a more safe manner. One other area of interest is that we also included a view shed in which we cleared this area out so that people traveling down the highway on I-240 could get a glimpse of the lake as they were driving by. What follows are a couple of slides showing the photos of the completed product. This is WM200 Phase 2, which is very similar to what Phase 1 looks like up here. This is Douglas Boulevard you see here. This is Phase 1, and this is Phase 2 right here. A particularly interesting feature about these roads that we haven't done in the past is that we've included these little concrete shoulders, which allows drainage to properly flow off the road and into the ditches off to the side. And it also helps lock in the asphalt road so that it's not prone to rolling as traffic loads start to increase on these roads. Here's another view that we just turned around and pointed our camera in the other direction. As you can see, it's very picturesque. It's very nice. Here's another view along the road as we travel down it. And here's the intersection of Post Road and the North Draper Drive, which shows the area that we cleared for people to be able to steer around to more effectively turn onto the road right here. And if you haven't made it out there, I encourage you to do so, because I went out there yesterday, and after the rains we have had, it is so green. All the grass looks emerald in color. So with that, I have take any questions.
Any questions?
You still have problems with people trying to create their own roads out there, and
Yes, sir, we do.
what do you do to enforce that?
Well, in a lot of these places where we had the old roads, we had the signage that said no motorized vehicles. And in these new places, I noticed we did not have those, so we will have to put that signage right there. We'll also have to go to some greater extent in order to seal off those areas where people want to access.
Councilman, we're in the process of negotiating with Public Works to help us better maintain the gravel roads in that area. So we're going to use a process called chip seal, where you put a binder down, and over time, after you put a number of layers, it actually turns into an asphalt road. So we're working with Public Works to help us in that regard, both at Draper and Hefner. There were a number of makeshift roads along the lake itself. We've closed all those to motorized. We encourage non-motorized usage, bikes, walking, horses, whatever. But we have closed those, and we have posted signs accordingly so that we can better manage those areas. Some of the gravel roads that you saw that were installed a few years ago have deteriorated a little bit. The ditches have filled, so we're still getting some erosion. So Public Works will help us reestablish the ditches, and then over the period of several years through the chip seal process, bind those gravel roads much better. And they're also going to help us with potholes and pavement replacement around our lakes as well. So we should have that agreement in place this year.
Really outstanding work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have a ballpark estimate on how many people a year are visiting the lake?
Oh, I sure
Is
don't.
there any way to count? Do we know?
No, sir, I don't. I can't.
Mr. Gray, that would be a little difficult. We do sell permits for various usage, but there are a lot of people who go there and just use the lake without necessarily getting a permit.
Yeah, and that's why I was just trying to get a sense if we had any idea as to what it is. I know a lot of people, just by virtue of the pictures we saw, you can tell there's a lot of use. I just didn't know if we were ever able to quantify
Well, the new trail will go pretty close to the lake, and there will be a spur that heads off towards the marina. So I imagine the usage will be more.
Yeah.
Plus, over the last few years, there's put
Okay.
the wet stalls out there. So traffic is increasing out
Right.
there.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we have a related item, amendment number 3 to the Silver Star Construction Company Project WM 0200 Phase 2, a decrease of $97,418 and accepting project and placing maintenance bond into effect.
Move approval.
Any discussion? We will vote now. It's approved unanimously. We are now at item number 6, items from trustees. Any items from trustees? Okay, thank you. Next, item number 7, general manager reports.
For the first month of this fiscal year, all expenses and revenues are on target. All the lakes are full, except for Draper. It's about 6 feet down. And just informational piece here, next week, we'll be meeting with the Water Board for the hearing on the Sardis permit.
Great. Any other items? Okay. Item number 8, citizens to be heard. Seeing none, we are adjourned.